Lloyd Begley. I'm the museum curator. Come on in.
Hello, welcome. My name is Gordon Barnhart, and I am the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. I'm sitting behind an early 20th century mahogany desk in the study at Government House in Regina. Saskatchewan has always been a place of big dreams and larger-than-life characters. These remarkable people have played out those dreams on a vast prairie canvas. Today, I invite you to enjoy a new television series with the unique name, Yes, Gargoyles Do Live in Saskatchewan. The Architectural Heritage Society of Saskatchewan is the sponsor of this exciting series. Each year, I collaborate with the Society to present awards of excellence in architectural heritage. This series furthers the goals of the awards to stimulate interest in our history, to preserve meaningful places, and to educate our citizens. This series will take you to Saskatchewan cities, towns, villages, and the surrounding countryside. You will meet Saskatchewan people and hear their stories about the history, folklore, and built heritage of our beautiful province. I have always taken great interest in Saskatchewan's heritage, including this magnificent vice-regal house and our impressive legislative building. Join me today to discover the rich history of our province. You will experience a fascinating tapestry of stories woven together by Saskatchewan's people. I invite you to sit back, watch, and enjoy. And you know what? Gargoyles do live in Saskatchewan.
Welcome to this episode of Yes, Gargoyles Do Live in Saskatchewan. It's the show that tells you all about what's happening in the world of architectural heritage. In this episode, we'll take you to Prince Albert to hear the unique stories of 3 heritage buildings. Then we'll show you how to recycle the Restore way. And finally, you'll see an adaptive reuse of the old 5 and dime store in downtown Prince Albert.
Welcome to Prince Albert. I'm Jane Remenda. I'm with the Prince Albert Downtown Improvement District, and I'm also a board member for Saskatchewan Architectural Heritage. And we're here at the Prince Albert Historical, used to be Men's Club, and soon became a library. So come on in and we'll show you around. We're here in Prince Albert at what's known as the Old Library, originally the Men's Club, built in 1912, and we're going to be taking you up to see 2 very old buildings. Actually, one of them is probably the second oldest church in all of Saskatchewan. They aren't in their original location. They have been relocated to a park here in the city, and we'll take you all the way back to 1866. And here with me this afternoon is Harris May, the president of our Historical Society, to help me to tell you a little bit about this beautiful old building.
The original PA Men's Club, built about 1912. In 1913, Lacole Falls went bankrupt, and the money ran out for the Men's Club. So that was then converted provincial jail, provincial police, library. I think it was maybe 2 times before and after the provincial police. And now it's privately owned by Mr. Bandette, who's trying to restore the building.
Okay, rumors have it that when this original building, built in 1912, was the Men's Club, that there was also an Empress Hotel just a block or so away from here, and there was a tunnel from the Men's Club to the hotel, and so that apparently that the men could take their women's to an evening show and then make their way back to the Men's Club, possibly for a drink during Prohibition. So when the provincial government took it over and had the jail cells in the basement, the actual entrance to the tunnel was inside the cell, And that was something that Mr. Bandette discovered as he was doing his renovations. So that was a little funny bit of the story, that they didn't realize that they actually could have just dug their way out of the jail cell. So we're gonna make our way down to the basement and take a look at where the jail cell would have been. And before that, it was actually, as Harris had mentioned, a wine cellar, and show you where Mr. Bandette has found the opening to the tunnel. Okay, so here we are in the basement of what historically was the men's club of Prince Albert. This would have been used as the wine cellar. And what we're looking at right now is the entrance to what was a tunnel that went over to a historical hotel that's no longer here, the Empress Hotel. And this tunnel led directly from this wine cellar over to the hotel. And as Mr. Bandette was renovating, he had uncovered the original entrance to the tunnel. What's sort of ironic is this is where the jail cell was when this building was also housing the provincial police. So whether or not it was bricked in, I imagine then.
I added another floor to the building, and it was for two reasons. For putting a better roofing system rather than the flat conventional roof used in the city, and also to utilize the space for future development. This floor is always controversial because it was designed and put together by a lot of existing buildings. It was recycled materials. All the arch ribs is recycled from a warehouse used here for some 40 years. And it was applied to this floor. And then we salvaged a solarium from a restaurant that was in town, the Country Kitchen. It was here for quite a few years. So this is what we put in place to finish the design. It has a exceptional view of the downtown core. It's something that could be utilized in the future as a coffee or latte shop, or even a balcony from an office point of view.
The two buildings were originally owned by the Bank of Commerce, I believe it was. And in 1932, the bank wanted to get rid of the buildings to be able to use the land. They were given to the Prince Albert Historical Society, who moved them into what was then called Bryant Park. It's now called Kinsman Park. And they were taken apart log by log and rebuilt in that new location. And since that time, they are suffering from deterioration, and the Historical Society, the city, needs to do something about them. So we'll go have a look at them.
Here we are in Prince Albert, Kinsman Park, and we're standing between two very old buildings. I believe they were built in 1867, 1866, somewhere around there. This is the blockhouse, and over on this side is the church built by Nesbitt and his party when they were here. And I'm going to let Harris tell you a little bit more about the properties.
You're looking right now at the Nesbitt Church and school, Presbyterian, better defined as a kirk, I suppose. This was built in 1866 by James Nesbitt. He was the first person to arrive in Prince Albert to begin a permanent city town in this location. And this was one of his first buildings. It was used for church services and for the education of the party that came from Kildonan and also the First Nations people. It is of squared log construction. The corners are all dovetailed. It's the oldest existing building in Prince Albert, and to our knowledge, it is the second oldest church in Saskatchewan and the oldest schoolhouse west of the Red River up to the foothills. The church itself is in better shape than this other building. In 1932, it was owned by, I believe it was the Bank of Commerce, and they needed the land, and they sold it to the Prince Albert Historical Society, gave it to them just about, I think it was for $1. It was dismantled log by log with the cooperation of the Prince Albert Jail inmates, and was refurbished and then set into this location in 1932-1933. This building was built 1870 by Archie Ballantyne for Mr. McLeese and used as a stable. Again, it's of the older construction, squared log with dovetailed corners. In 1885, there was major panic in the city of Prince Albert with regards to Louis Riel. Riel said that he was going to come to Prince Albert, and so they used this building. It was downtown, located not far from the men's club, and they ended up cutting loopholes in some of the bottom logs, which have now been filled in with cement. The idea being that they would house some of their soldiers inside this building, and they'd use the loopholes to carry on battle. Fortunately, that never came to pass. Very few blockhouses exist within Western Canada, and this is one of them.
Hey, thank you for joining us here in Prince Albert and visiting the old library and the blockhouse and the church here at Kinsman Park. We hope you enjoyed it.
Do you mind if I ask you a question? What are you looking for today here?
Today I am looking for handles.
What kind of handles?
I don't really know, but I think I'll find them here. I built a bookshelf.
Oh, okay.
And it's heavy, so it's got a cover so I can just close it because I move a lot. So I need handles for the side, like the side of a coffin or something. I don't know.
Good.
Heavy.
Good luck.
My name is Al Gill, and I'm manager of the Habitat Restore in Regina, which serves southern Saskatchewan. Many of the materials we receive at the Restore could be categorized as heritage materials, materials from the first half of the last century and even before that, perhaps in the 1800s. Here's an example of a door we have here that came from the front of a house in downtown Regina and was probably from the teens or 20s, or perhaps even as early as 1900, 1905 and so on, when many of those homes were built down there. The important point to be made about these kinds of materials is that it's a way of preserving our heritage by collecting these doors and then putting them back to reuse. Often in the case of a door like this, the door would be turned over probably to a commercial operation of some kind and used that way. Some people use them as gates to their backyards these days, and so it's good to see these things being kept and put back to use in the community. The Restore accepts and sells used building materials, hardware, appliances, and some furniture. All the material in the Restore is donated, and we sell the material and put that money into building homes for low-income working families in Regina. Some of the things we get at the Restore are doors and windows, cabinets. We also get a lot of appliances here, which we either recycle or put back into use by servicing and selling again to people who come to the store. And part of the reason for the Restore operation, in addition to helping us raise funds for our housing program, is the opportunity it provides us to serve the community by way of making materials available affordably for families, for example, in core areas, but right across the community. And in addition, people, as I mentioned, throughout southern Saskatchewan. But also we divert many hundreds of tons of materials away from the city's landfill site and back into the hands of people who can reuse them. And that's really what people want in terms of recycling, I think, is to know that when they donate materials to anyone, including the Restore, that the materials are either being reused or recycled or in some way not. The customers at the Restore, the common customers, are people doing renovations at home primarily. We get a lot of people here who come to us as landlords who are able to afford by this way to make improvements they might not otherwise make in rental housing in the city, which is important to us and to the city. The priority, of course, is to have more ownership of housing in core areas of the community like North Central, and this is another way we can contribute to that. This area here and this area here, and on the other side, we have a lot of trim materials that we make available to people at pretty reasonable prices, and often when people are doing home renovations, they find this is one of the sort of expensive parts of it. So we really have a wide range of materials here and not very much of any one thing in particular. But we also have flooring, which you can see by these rolls, and our prices make the product pretty popular here. Our flooring sells for 55 to 65 cents a square foot, which is pretty inexpensive. A lot of this material is new material that is end of roll donations from local retailers and installers. Some of it is used if it's in good condition, and we can sell it at a pretty reasonable price. Here's some countertops here that people are always looking for. It's a very popular item for vanities and washrooms and so on. And again, the price is quite reasonable for this kind of material. Over in this corner, I know it looks like kind of a mess, but we have a bunch of material here that is mainly vinyl floor tile. There's some ceramics here and so on, but it's mainly, well, it's looking pretty messy right now. That we had a whole pile of it here, and people have kind of gone through it, and this is sort of what remains is the human experience, I guess, from that. On this part here, again, more flooring, vinyl flooring, and then we have some laminate flooring and things here. Again, regrettably, we don't always have a lot of that stuff, so this would be for pretty small projects where you could buy 2 or 3 boxes for a reasonable price. This is the used appliance area. All these appliances are donated primarily by people who buy new appliances or whatever, or have a death in the family, or whatever the reason is. They bring the appliances in, or we pick them up, and we have a technician who looks at the appliances and repairs them if necessary, and we go from there to putting them on the floor for sale. And most of these appliances would go for less than $150. They're perfectly good condition. Out in this part of the Restore, we have mostly hardware. This is our sort of lighting department here, where we have light fixtures that have been donated. Many of them we hang up and try to make the display such that people can see what they might look like in their home. Again, these are things that we sell quite reasonably, and these are very popular products for people. I think the important point to make about the Restore and about recycling and reuse and reduction generally is that I want to encourage people to try to donate materials to organizations like Habitat for Humanity for reuse. I think everyone wants that, and I guess in theory anyone will be willing to do that if there's an opportunity. And so we're presenting this opportunity for building materials, hardware, appliances, and furniture in Regina, serving southern Saskatchewan. With respect to heritage materials, which I know this program is about, the necessity is perhaps even greater, because once someone has disposed of a heritage material like a door, a window or set of windows, any of the interior trim and molding and baseboard and so on, that material is lost forever. And we need to keep heritage materials around and try to reuse them, because our heritage, especially our built heritage or architectural heritage, is important to us now, but it's really our gift to future generations, and we can't allow it to be lost.
Welcome to downtown Prince Albert. Here we are at Chandelier's Fine Dining. It was originally the Kresge store here in Prince Albert, built in 1952. Come on in and we'll introduce